Here she is, Gayle King.
I really don't know what's going on in your world, but this really is the #1 question for me, to you. Is your BlackBerry working? For me, it's in and out, in and out, in and out. Yesterday, it was out the whole time. I went to bed about midnight, still gone, woke up at 3:30, it was in, but now it's not. It's in and out, in and out. So I was at a dinner party last night, and I thought somebody had a really great answer. They said, this must be what a vasectomy feels like. I don't know the answer to that, but here to answer why this happened, maybe you guys know the answer to that. Here to answer why this happened is a tech expert. We found one, Brett Larson, and Ron Tarosian. He is in crisis management and CEO of 5WPR, who can tell us what this means for the BlackBerry brand. I'm thinking, would either one of you like to be working at BlackBerry today?
I think it's not.
We'll start with you, Ron.
It's not the best day for BlackBerry.
Yeah.
You know, I'm also a BlackBerry addict, so mine also didn't work yesterday, but today I woke up and magically it works.
I know, this is what I did yesterday. I kept sending myself emails, test. Then I'd say, is it working now? I took the back off, you know, do the hokey pokey and turn yourself around. At this dinner party where I was yesterday, somebody said, you know, it was really nice of BlackBerry to pay tribute to Steve Jobs by giving him 3 days of silence. Which, isn't that good?
That's good.
Isn't that good?
They did that for Thomas Edison.
So how did this happen? Because this is the thing. Let me tell you this, Brett. When 3 days ago, when I first heard about it in Europe and Africa, I thought, oh, how bad for them. God, sure, I'm glad it's not me. And then woke up the next morning, and guess what happens? It was me.
It was us. How did this happen? It started in Europe, and it slowly worked its way around the world. It's a server failure on BlackBerry's part, and they are scrambling. I heard a conference call with them yesterday. They sounded very stressed out.
Yeah,
the timing is awful. The new iPhone comes out tomorrow,
yes.
And it's been talked about all week, and I mean, it's bad news for BlackBerry. It also shows that, like, we're addicted to our personal technology, and when it doesn't work, it's a real failure.
Yeah.
And I found the one thing...
No, because, listen, Brett, I started thinking about the people that had business deals that we're working on, somebody who might have had illness in their family, somebody who might have had a fight and was trying to make up with... I mean, my head went all sorts of places.
It's the letter that never arrived.
It's the letter that never arrives.
I didn't know you felt that way.
No, but I started thinking about all the things that really might have changed in people's lives over the last 3 days just because your BlackBerry was not working.
Right. And what's worse is you don't know that it's not working.
Yeah.
His works, yours doesn't. But how do you know that? Like, everything's going out. I don't know that it's not working. It's not like a message pops up.
But we touched on the iPhone 4S coming out. Listen, I have always been a BlackBerry girl because I like the keypad. I like it. Right. So I, for the first time, it flickered through my mind, Ron, flickered through my mind. Should I get the 4S? What is it called? What's it called?
iPhone 4S.
iPhone 4S. Right. For the first time, I started thinking about it, and I sort of went to myself, oh, no, I've never in my life thought that. But I think a lot of people are thinking that.
I think that many BlackBerry users are people, and I use the old one because I love the scroll. So you talk about, you know, a BlackBerry addict. I love the scroll.
Yours
on the right
is really old.
We buy them refurbished. We buy the old refurbished ones so I can keep to use them on the side.
Yeah. So
we love these on the side.
You know, I liked it on the side too, and was sort of bummed when the ball came. I didn't even know that we could keep them on the side. So you will not be changing.
I am not changing.
You will not be changing.
And I have 8 of them that are all the refurbished ones because I love it on the side, and I think many BlackBerry people are like me. And I think when you look 3 months, 6 months down the road, you're going to forget about this. You know, it's like a fight with your spouse that you really, really love. So there's great days and there's bad days.
Do you have a spouse that you really, really love?
Really, really love. It's great. So, you know, when you have a spouse that you really, really love and you have a fight for the day, you're going to go back 3 months, 6 months. You don't think about these things. You don't remember these things. And I think that that's the lesson we'll feel from BlackBerry. And yes, Gayle, people like me and you today are not happy with BlackBerry.
Right.
And yesterday we weren't happy. But if it keeps working, you probably won't convert back. You probably won't convert to Apple.
But the operative phrase that you said there is if you really, really love. And I'm really thinking, I was on tweeting yesterday, and people said, Gayle, you're wasting your time. You should get the iPhone 4S. You know, you'll never go back. And I, for the first time, I did start thinking, maybe I do need to try something different. I'm also with you. I don't think that I'll change because I've been very happy with BlackBerry, and it's been a very unfortunate thing, but when you can't rely on them, that's not a good thing.
Unfortunately, and you know, the technology guru is sitting next to me, but unfortunately in technology, things aren't always going to work. And for me as a PR person, I'll tell you that communication is important. I think they've managed the communication terribly.
I was going to say that I don't think they,
They've said it was working, and then it didn't work again.
Yes.
They started talking about how failure switches, switch failures. I mean, what does a switch failure mean for us?
We don't know what that means, yes.
I totally knew what it meant. I was like, wow, this is like tech porn.
You did? Yeah, you did know what it meant?
Oh, I mean, I know what it means, but I agree with you. You can't tell the public, like, oh, we had a switch failure and our redundancy also didn't kick in.
I think many of those who know what a switch failure is are probably Apple people. And I think a hardcore business person, I mean, again, you look at President Obama. President Obama spoke about his BlackBerry when he talked to
Yes, that's right.
You remember when he was elected, you know, he said, I want my BlackBerry.
Now, that would be something if President Barack Obama switched after. Something's telling me, though, his phone worked the whole time. I don't think he had a problem. But if they were a client for you right now, what would you tell them? What advice would you give them? Especially since you've just said they haven't managed this well. I totally agree with that. What would you tell them?
I just wrote a book, For Immediate Release, which talks about crisis management. And
I love that, For Immediate Release. Go ahead. What's the name of the book? Go ahead.
For Immediate Release, Shape Minds.
Oh, I didn't know that was the name of the book. I thought you were saying it's going to be Immediate Release. Okay.
That's the name of the book.
Okay, good.
But the fundamental rule of crisis management is to communicate clearly and to say what's going on. They haven't done that. That's a big failure. You also have to stand up and take responsibility. I mean, on one of the conference calls that I heard, there was a CTO, a chief technology officer, talking about switch failures and about all of these things. We just want our damn BlackBerries to work, Gail. That's it. Make the BlackBerry work. And if it's not going to work, tell us. We're working day and night on it. We're doing the best we can.
Yes.
And I think that...
Because I don't want to hear the technical problem, whatever it was you just said about switch failure. I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
I don't. I just want to know how long is it going to be before you get it back. And then I heard something this morning, Brett, where they said, because there's been such a big backlog on all the messages, that it's going to totally screw things up even longer. And that's why I suspect mine is still sort of spotty.
Yeah.
What will you say about that to us?
And I actually think that's kind of funny that they're coming forward and saying, like, oh, don't worry about the messages that were all sent. You'll get them at some point. It's like, well, what if they were important? What if it was somebody saying, oh, my God, I'm late, or... can you wait 20 minutes for me, and you're going to get this 3 hours from now? And yeah, there's going to be this, everything's going to start working again, and then all of this information is going to have to be pushed out, and that could potentially cause more problems.
And that doesn't reassure me. I heard the same thing. Eventually, you're going to get the message. Well, the whole purpose of a BlackBerry is that you're going to get my message right away. That's the whole purpose. And I think it's failure, terrible communication. I think the bigger damage for BlackBerry isn't in the day or two of it not working, but the fact that you're saying it might get there in a few days. So next time around, then I'm going to be very concerned.
And it's not 1994 where we're okay with waiting a couple of days for an email. It's 2011, almost 2012. We rely on these things to work right now. I want it right now. That's the generation
and I also, you know, I was reading a tease and it said the world is reeling. I thought reeling was too strong a word because, listen, nobody died. But it was just a, Brett goes, well, okay, reeling. I didn't like that phrase because I thought it really isn't the end of the earth. It isn't. Nobody died. It was just extremely annoying.
I'll tell you, try not calling your best friend back when they call you at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Don't call them back until the morning. They'll think you're dead. Happened to me last year. Somebody called me at 5:30 at night. I wanted to take an early day. I went to bed at 9 o'clock. In the morning, I had 14 messages, 7 voicemails. What's wrong with you?
Well, yeah, why haven't you called? You know, I was watching the news this morning, and they had a thing about Sony TV, the Bravia system. It said that they are known to burn or catch fire or melt the 40-inch models. And I'm watching this while I'm on a Sony TV Bravia. That I'm thinking, is it 40 inches? Is it 32? Is it 50? How big is the screen? And I'm thinking, it was just said so. Listen, if you have a Sony, you might want to get it checked out. I'm wondering, as you technical people sit here, have you heard anything about the Sony TV Bravia? I emailed the audio guy who hooked it up. He goes, I'm not sure, Gail, what you have. I'll check it out for you. But I'm thinking, that was very frightening to me because I'm listening to this thing about how your Sony TV 40-inch, and I actually think I have that, could catch fire or melt, and you should do something about it. What have you got about that?
I haven't heard that, but that sounds really kind of crazy and fun at the same time. I mean, if you're home and you have a fire extinguisher, imagine you're watching like a bad movie, like a Nicolas Cage movie, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, this guy's on fire! Oh my God, my TV's really on fire!
Brett, is Apple the big winner here in your opinion?
Absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of people who are going to say, I'm sticking with the BlackBerry. It's been my best friend for the past 5 years.
Right now, I'm sticking with it, yeah.
But there's going to be other people who maybe aren't the corporate people who have that flexibility to switch out devices, and they're going to say, enough is enough. The new iPhone's out. It's got a lot of cool features. The BlackBerry is not as popular as it used to be.
But it is kind of eerie, though, guys. Don't you think they were making a joke about it, 3 3 days of silence for Steve Jobs. But it's kind of eerie that this would happen so soon after Steve Jobs' death, and that the new phone is coming out tomorrow, and BlackBerry has this tremendous, you know, shutdown. Don't you think that's sort of ironic?
Look, I think that everybody on Earth, perhaps, but I think everybody on Earth has heard of Apple. It's not like you didn't know of that option.
Okay.
You know, in other words, if you're a BlackBerry user, you knew that you have other options. And, you know,
so you don't see it as deeply as I do.
No, because I think you'll get over it.
Like Montezuma's revenge when you go to Mexico. I totally think that's what it is. I think in passing he like whispered like, Rosebud. He said that to somebody and they're like, take down BlackBerry.
But Ron, you're saying, okay, Gail, you don't need to go that far, but I was sort of thinking it's sort of ironic. You're
How about if
no.
I ask you in 2 weeks, and 3 weeks, and 4 weeks, you'll say, yeah, I was annoyed for that day.
Okay.
It might not stick in your mind a month from now.
All right, we'll see. Thank you, Ron. May I mention your book?
Please.
He's got it. Ron has a new book. It's called For Immediate Release. It will be in the bookstore soon, October 15th, my sister Karen's birthday. Thank you both. Thank you both for coming.